This comes as voting rights advocates increase the pressure on the Biden administration to do more to fight for voting rights stalled in the Senate. 150 organizations signed a letter to the president urging him to do more to push for legislation to combat new voting restrictions put into place in Republican-led states. They write, quote, "While we fully support the ideal of bipartisan cooperation on voting rights, the partisan political agenda of some in the Senate cannot be allowed to block passage of legislation that has broad bipartisan backing." They go on to say nothing can serve as a substitute for your direct engagement and leadership in efforts to secure the passage of these critical voting rights bills. This came as Georgia Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson became the second member of Congress to be arrested in a week while protesting in support of federal voting legislation. Joining us now is Georgia Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson, along with Melanie Campbell, president of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. She was also arrested during a similar demonstration last Thursday with Ohio Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. I think we may have lost the connection with the congressman. We'll come back to him in just a second. But I did want to ask you, Melanie, about the letter and what you'd like to see more come out of the White House, because some have described it as saying the president, when he delivered that very stirring message about voting rights and the assault that we're seeing and voter subversion, that it's simply not enough, that the White House has not put its full weight behind some of these efforts. Talk to us about what you want to see more from the White House.
I think the speech that President Biden gave was a very strong and, as you mentioned, a moving speech. It's a part of, I think, what he can do when we say use all the tools in the toolbox. One is from the bully pulpit and speaking about it, but also using what we shared in both meetings that I've been in. Use whole of government approach to use all of your ability to utilize the government that you run. Have your cabinet participate where that's feasible, but use all elements of it. Continue to as the leader of the Democratic Party, encouraging the senators to make sure that they will do even more. Use everything that you have at your disposal. Have town hall meetings. When you talked about the fact that we all still living through the COVID-19, and I, as a survivor, but I can totally relate to the challenges that we are going through. But use the bully pulpit for that. Use all of the government assets that you can, because voting rights is a fundamental right for all Americans in this country. And so for us, we see that as something that would rise to the occasion of what was done during the Obama administration with the Affordable Care Act. And really the power of that position, no matter what party you're in, it is effective. It can be for good or it can be for now. And we believe that he has more that he can do. Vice President Harris, as well as part of his team, and having that one of her main assignments, that they just continue to do more and speak out more and get out there with the people and just get the people engaged as well to fight for voting rights that will impact all of us and save our democracy, as far as I'm concerned.
I believe we have reestablished our connection with the congressman. Congressman, first of all, how are you doing after the ordeal that you went through? And what can you tell us about what else you and your colleagues plan to do to bring attention to the need for the voting rights bill in Congress?
Well, thank you, Ayman, for having me. And after spending a couple of hours in a jail cell with Rashad Robinson and Chris Albright of Black Voters Matter, I learned a lot from them. It was a privilege and an honor to be able to act as John Lewis would have expected, get into some good trouble about something that needs to be corrected. And what needs to be corrected, Ayman, is this attack on our democracy through trying to deprive Black people and brown people of their right to vote. And this is an attack on our democracy, and it's something that a lot of people may not be fully aware of. They may be kind of immune or not sensitive to the fact that this is happening, but there's a systematic effort to deprive Black and brown people of our right to vote as we move towards the 2022 election. It jeopardizes democracy for us all. It's a threat to that democracy, and we must rise up at this point and take extraordinary action, which is what I did yesterday in standing with other Black men. It was the Brothers' Day of Action on Capitol Hill. I was proud to stand with them, and we did something. We got into some good trouble yesterday, it's going to continue.
Yeah. Sorry. So speaking of extraordinary action, you and a number of Democratic colleagues have been calling for the Senate to get rid of the legislative filibuster, requiring 60 votes for many bills to move forward. Your colleague, Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, he's suggesting that instead of completely eliminating the filibuster, the rules should be changed so that there is a, quote, carve-out for laws directly tied to constitutional rights, such as voting. Would you be willing to support that idea, or does the entire legislative filibuster need to go?
Well, that entire filibuster is hurting efforts on so many fronts, but certainly on constitutional issues such as the right to vote, there needs to be a modification of the filibuster to exclude those kinds of issues from the filibuster. But in my opinion, the filibuster, which is a relic of the racist past of this nation, is no longer effective in advancing the just will of a minority. It is being used to stifle and stop legislation that benefits the majority, particularly on critical issues like voting rights. And so the 60-vote majority is hurting our democracy at this point. It's just a mere rule of Senate procedure, and it certainly has no comparison to the right to vote. So it needs to go by. It needs to go by the wayside, like so many other archaic traditions that people cling to in this country that are no longer advancing what is right and just for our society.
All right, Congressman Hank Johnson, Melanie Campbell, thank you both for your time. I greatly appreciate it.